Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Amy Edwards. I am a platinum consultant here with Evolution and Archer Travel. And today we are going to be talking about booking with Expedia Taap. So Expedia Taap is a really great program. I don't use it a lot personally for bookings, but I use it a lot more for research because Expedia has all the different airlines, they have all the different hotels. They have activities, they have transfers. So you can use it for individual kind of a la carte bookings. And you can also use it for package deals. So it's really great for that. One thing I do want to say, and you're going to learn about this a little further, is when you're booking only flights, I usually suggest going through the airline. And the reason I don't use Expedia Taap for a lot of bookings is because Expedia Taap truly is a third party. And so let's say you have maybe an overbooked hotel or an overbooked flight. When you book through Expedia Taap, you can't just go to the flight counter. You can't just ask the person at the desk to help you if they don't have a room or maybe your flight gets canceled. You have to call Expedia. And so they're a very large company. They do have a pretty good support system, but a lot of times their wait times are quite lengthy. And so you have to wait for Expedia to be able to help you as opposed to having that direct location help you because Expedia truly owns that inventory. So just a little tip, if you have a flight only, I would say go directly to the airline. And if you can, do a little bit of research, maybe build the package in like VAX or, you know, uh, a service that is a little more user friendly. Expedia Taap also, I don't believe they have their travel insurance back yet. You have to go through like Tin Leg to do travel insurance on packages, which is why I prefer like a VAX or Vacation Express. But you can book through Expedia. I don't want to deter anyone. I just want to make sure you know that if you book through Expedia, you will have to contact Expedia for any questions and for any details before, during, and after booking. And as always, if it's your first bookings, if you're just getting started, please get help from your mentor before completing a booking. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I kind of let you guys know that up front. So Expedia Taap has quite a bit of benefits. Once you go to the travel cafe, just like with any of the suppliers, you're going to go to suppliers by country. I'm from the US, so I'll show you that example. And you are going to get registered the way that Archer Travel has you get registered. So they have their own link to make sure that you are registered as an independent agent through Archer Travel. That's really important in order to get commissions. So we are going to go ahead and open that up just so you can kind of see that. So I'm going to scroll down to Expedia Taap here. When getting registered, you got a little bit of information about Expedia Taap. Please also know that if you call Expedia and you do the booking over the phone, you are not going to get commission. So make sure you're doing it. Contact information, that is our business development manager. Always reach out to your mentor before calling any of the suppliers, okay? Because a lot of times you have questions that we can help with. And then again, here's to register. If you want to register, you're going to use this link. If you have an existing Expedia account, it may not let you register because it already recognizes your email. But once you open this link, it'll give you directions on how to convert your Expedia account over to Expedia Taap. Okay. If you will come from another agency, you're going to use this link. So we will help you to get signed up. We'll make sure that you have everything that you need for there. It does have a rewards program. So if you're booking a lot, I use Expedia a lot of times for my personal bookings, especially if you have a really good deal. with a hotel. So it's nice to be able to get those rewards. Another thing that's really important to know is you want to make sure that you are logged into the Expedia Taap. So TAAP. You always want to make sure you see this TAAP because this site looks just like the regular Expedia.com. And if you accidentally book with Expedia, you're not going to get commission. So that's a mistake that a lot of new agents make. So again, super important to make sure that you are reaching out to your mentor or your team for your first few bookings because you always want to know what your commission is. So they have the menu, of course, here, your homepage, reports that show commissions. If you have any pending quotes that you have saved, you can utilize that here. Typically, for itineraries and quotes, you have to have a package. So you can't just build a quote for just a hotel or just a flight. But I'll show you how to kind of copy and paste those to a quote that you can create. All right, so we have support. Expedia has a ton of different support features. They also have help if you need to make any changes. So if you want to go into an itinerary you've built, you want to change or cancel, request a refund, you can use airline credits. So they have a lot of flexibility there. If you go to your trip section, it's going to show all of the bookings that you've completed, past, present, and future. And then you have your profile section. So you're going to see you're with Archer Travel. Your agency support is here. Any email if you need help, that's all going to be there. Another thing that Expedia has is what they call their, it's like their education. It's like an Expedia University. So you can use it for help with, just getting some education on what to look for and some tips and tricks on using Expedia Taap. So pretty great options there that I want to make sure that you know about. All right, so we're going to go back here to the home screen and I'm going to kind of walk you through a sample trip. And as I said, you can do properties, flights, packages, car rentals, activities, airport transfers, and you can utilize this for groups. So if you are specializing in groups or if you have a group booking, please make sure to reach out to your mentor to get the training on how to do group bookings through Archer Travel because groups involve contracts. So you want to make sure Archer Travel approves your contract. And Expedia Taap has a great training in their education on how to complete groups. So for this instance, we are going to go to packages. And when you choose packages, you can choose properties, flights, and cars. So you got to choose two or more. So you could do flight car, property car, or you can do all three. For this one, we will select all three. So we are going to be leaving from, and I'm just going to choose close to me. So I'm going to choose the Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm going to do Orlando. I'm going to put the departure dates out a little bit. So we are going to do, let's do the 27th through the 2nd. So we'll do a nice week-long trip there. And then we are going to need one room. Another thing I want to mention is Expedia has maximum. So you can do 3 rooms and 6 guests. If you have more than that, you can use the groups if there are a lot more than that. Maybe if you only have 7 or 8 guests, you'll do it in 2 separate bookings. So we're going to do 2 adults and we will do 2 kids. Maybe we'll do a young one at 5. Close that. All right, one more kiddo, and we will do that one for 13. All right, and then we are going to click on done. All right, they do have some special advanced features, such as maybe you're doing a round trip flight for a cruise, but you only need hotels for a couple of days. In that instance, you would do, I only need accommodations for part of my trip, and then you would put in the hotel dates. For this one, we're going to do a hotel for the whole thing. We're going to go ahead and click search. Um, Also, I'm not sure if many of you know this, but Expedia has the VRBO inventory. So you can find houses, condos, cabins. You can find those easily on Expedia Taap. One trick that I found, though, to make sure that you can get all of the, or that you can utilize the houses, condos, and cabins, is you're going to choose one room and two travelers. I don't know why that is, but if you put in two travelers, it'll bring in your smaller homes all the way up to, accommodations for 15. So depending on what they have. When you're doing houses, condos, or cabins, you're going to see all of the search features here on the left side of the screen. If you scroll all the way down here, you can see that you can choose homes. Your property type, you can also see that you can choose a private vacation home, a condo, all of these different options. There's another option that's usually on here. It'll say, yes, number of bedrooms. So you could also look by number of bedrooms if you wanted different bedrooms. One thing to mention too, the Taap property commission tier. So Expedia has different commission tiers. So you can choose basic, which is your lower commissions, all the way up to premium plus, which are higher commissions. But know that if you select these, you're going to reduce your inventory. So I usually say not to make too many selections because the more selections you get, the more opportunities you're going to miss out on for inventory. Again, accessibility options. If you need handicap options, you can use that. Family friendly, beach. So here are your different options. You can also do close to some different areas. So maybe you want to be close to Kissimmee because you want to do Disney, or, they have different options that expand here. Okay, so we can choose all of these different amenities as well. We can choose for breakfast included. Of course, I'm choosing Orlando, so we're not going to see the all-inclusive. And again, star ratings. Now, keep in mind that I like to use TripAdvisor for your actual star ratings. I think that those are a little more reliable and a lot of times a little more current. But any time that you see these properties, see here, it'll say 9.8 out of 10. This is an exceptional property. Read the reviews. Sometimes if they are, only a rating of 4.2, maybe they haven't had an Expedia review in 4 or 5 years, or maybe there's only one review. In that case, you can go to TripAdvisor or go to Google and you can look for some more current reviews. Another thing that Taap offers is they have pay at the property or pay Expedia. So some properties allow you to pay at check-in. Typically, though, if you're doing a package rate, you have to pay for your airline up front. So a lot of times it'll all be due up front. When you do like VRBO and there are payment plans, so if you pay like half now, half later, that's an option as well through Expedia. So it'll give you those payment options. Last but not least, you can view in a map. So maybe you are wanting to look at a location that's near, if you're going to a convention that's near somewhere. This is really helpful because you can see where you are going to be for your convention, and you can also see what hotels are near. If it's kind of hard to tell, a lot of times I'll go to Google and look at an overview map and I'll kind of plot out landmarks. So I'll look for things like streets. So maybe my convention is going to be near Winter Park. And so I will go to Google and I'll say, okay, so it's near the 417 and US 27. So just as an example there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then, of course, by property name. Maybe you already know the exact property that you want to stay at. You can search here. Let's say if you were to choose Universal's Cabana Bay, you could search Universal's Cabana Bay and this one will pop up. You can also have different sort features. So if you want to start with the lowest price, the distance from downtown, the best ratings or star rating, you can choose that, or the greatest discount. Right now it'll default to recommended, but let's say we choose low to high. So maybe we want it to be super budget friendly. So we're going to go price is low to high. Of course, it's going to bring in your motels. It's going to bring in your very, lower end accommodations, but some of these may be very good. See, this one's still at 8.2. Really good sale going on. You have $100 off. Flight, stay, and car rental, that's a $1,700 package total. Any questions so far? I think these are pretty basic booking. So I'm going to go ahead and just for the sake of time, I'm going to choose this default option. So the Palazzo Lakeside Hotel, it's in Kissimmee, breakfast included. There's a pool. Looks like it's got an 8.2 rating, 5,000 reviews. That's really good. So we are going to go ahead and select that. So now you are going to be able to see some photos. If I was creating a quote for this, I would probably save the photo of the room, of the outside, and then I usually do either the dining or the pool area, just something to kind of catch their eye, making sure in your quote you show them some, realistic photos of the property. Now, if they were just going to choose a king size room, I would try to use the room that they're going to choose. Okay. I don't want to send a photo of a suite and then book them for a twin size. So make sure to pay attention to that room size. A little bit about the property. Again, if you wanted to, you could highlight this and copy and paste it right to an email. You could put it into a Word document, or we have a training on how to build an itinerary in Canva. So Canva is really good because you can upload photos, you can copy and paste this information, and you can build a really good itinerary. You can see some places nearby, and then of course the total. Now in this option, as you can see, they have all rooms, 1 bed or 2 beds, and they have 16 different rooms available. So family rooms, comfort rooms. Typically with Expedia, you have non-refundable and you also have refundable rates. Now, I know that non-refundable are usually cheaper. As a travel agent, I try to never book non-refundable anything without specific direction from the traveler. Because if something happens, they are going to lose out on everything they have invested. Okay. So as a travel advisor, I never recommend or typically even give the option unless they specifically ask me for non-refundable rates, whether it be a hotel, car rental, or a flight. Okay. That's just a little tip from me, but again, whatever you would like to choose to do. So I try to make sure I don't do that. Now, typically there are options for refundable. Let's see. So this one does not say non-refundable. See how this one says partially refundable before September 27th. Now, when you do travel insurance, let's say you were to you were to get travel insurance through Tinleg, which is our travel insurance person. You could go into Tinleg, and there's a lot of times that you can get insurance on the non-refundable rates, but you have to simply tell them it's a non-refundable rate. Because if they purchase a separate travel insurance, that will still protect them. Okay. All right. So as we scroll down here, we're going to see more of the refundable rates. So now here we've got a premier room. So as you can see, the club room. So I wouldn't send them a club room if I'm going to get them, the standard king size bed. So make sure to pay really close attention to that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to choose, and as you can see here, those rooms are sold out. I'm going to choose the partially refundable. In here, you see this. Oh, this is a bad example. Hold on a second. Sometimes they make some changes. I'm trying to see the actual commission. Let me click on more details and see if it's up. And again, here are more options that you could share with your traveler as well. And I literally just copy and paste. I also copy and paste directly from the cancellation policy. So I would make sure to click here and copy and paste every word, word for word, so that you are sharing that full cancellation policy. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit further to see if I can see the commission rate. They may have had an upgrade, but they used to have a little button that showed you your commission based on the tier. All right, so we've chosen our hotel. We are now going to choose our flight. Couple tips that I have for flights. You want the flight time to be close to the check-in time for the hotel, unless your travelers are okay with maybe getting the car rental now, going to get some dinner, and then checking in. You definitely don't want to leave anyone who's not got a car rental, who's going to get a ride from their flight to the hotel at 8 a.m., but they can't check in until 4 p.m. So pay really close attention to that. You also don't want to have somebody having a checkout at 11 a.m., but their flight's not till 11 p.m. unless they directly know that and they are okay with it. Okay. So of course we would prefer to have nonstop flights, but you're going to see all different types of flight options. You want to make sure to pay close attention. You see that +1 means they're arriving the next day. So very ideal, I would say, to get somewhere between 3 and 7 p.m. Again, depending on what your travelers prefer. I try not to get somebody to a location after 10 or 11. Hotels, a lot of times, if you don't check in by a certain time, they cancel your room. Whether you've paid or not paid, I forget what the process is that they call it, but if you haven't checked in, they re-release those rooms. So if you have somebody arriving at 12:15 a.m., you're going to want to make sure the hotel directly knows to hold that room for them. Okay. All right, so we have some different options here depending on when they want to depart or arrive. And then you can also choose the layover airport. So maybe you have an elderly couple, maybe you don't want to put them through the Atlanta airport, or you want to get them a little longer layover. So you don't want to give them a 40-minute layover. You want to give them maybe a couple of hours so that they can comfortably get to their destination. Just some things to think about to make sure that their layovers that they can get to their next flight. I try not to do layovers less than an hour unless you have a seasoned traveler, okay? Because even a layover less than an hour, if your first flight's delayed 30 minutes, it really pushes time. All right, so we are just going to go with this default option again. We're going to choose that Southwest. Keeping in mind that if you have a cheaper flight, so if you have like a Spirit Airlines or Frontier, you're going to have to remember that included in this trip is going to be any baggage that they have. So here's a really good example with your economy and their different fares as expressed with Southwest. You want to make sure, again, see this one is a non-refundable, changes not allowed. Probably not the best idea, okay? This one, even though it's non-refundable, you can have changes. You'll have to pay a difference but you have free change for same day flight if available. Okay, so if you're at the airport, they're at the desk. Maybe they could call Expedia and get that changed. Um, so Southwest doesn't have first class per se, but they have the business select. And then you can choose seats if you choose the anytime or of course the business select. With this one, oh, looks like you can choose seats with any fare with Southwest. However, if you remember, if you choose JetBlue, or if you choose a lot of your smaller airlines, sometimes you can't choose your seat if you do economy. So if you have a family going, a mom and dad and kid, the thought is if they book their ticket together and there's a kiddo, they sit together, but that doesn't always happen. I've been on flights where mom has been in the front, dad's been in the back, and the kid's been somewhere in the middle, tucked between two different adults. Not ideal at all. Okay, so pay close attention to the seat choices. So I'm just going to go with kind of middle of the line. I want to make sure if there's any changes they need that they can get that. And now we are going to choose the flight home. I like to try and keep it on the same airline. This one doesn't have that option directly up here. It has it for a little more. But if it's a little cheaper, maybe let's say this for 300 more, could take a different airline home. They would just need to add now the American Airlines app to do their check-in. So not a huge deal. That 30-minute layover may not work there, but I'm going to just go ahead with the same flight home. It's nonstop. It's only just a little bit more. It's at a good time, 1 p.m. to 3:50. And again, so that one is the Wanna Getaway Plus. So typically I chose that Wanna Getaway Plus for the first one. It's going to keep me in that same category for the flight home. So again, no checked bags, carry-ons included. So we'll make sure we want to let our traveler know that if you have a checked bag, it's 35 on the way there, 35 on the way back, but they can make changes. So I'm going to go ahead and click on select. So our bundle, we're still saving about $400. Now we're going to do car rentals and a couple of tips for car rentals because I know some of you are new. Car rentals almost 99% of the time require a credit card. Some of them will allow you to use debit cards, but they hold a hefty fee, anywhere from $250 to $1,000. Keep that in mind, okay? Keep in mind, asking your travelers if they have the full coverage car insurance, asking them if they've rented a car before. You want to make sure when they get to the airport, they can get this car, okay? You don't want to leave them without a car because they don't have enough funds to hold or they don't have a major credit card. And you're going to learn kind of throughout who accepts the debit cards and who accepts the credit cards. Okay. Because of the quote unquote rental car shortage that we have had kind of since the COVID area, typically you have to have a round trip flight to rent cars at an airport. Some airports are a little more lenient, some are not. So you are going to choose the car rental that best suits them. How many people are going? Do they have a lot of luggage? How long are they going to stay? I try to get something above economy. I try to go for the midsize, especially if you see here, it's only a couple dollars more. Some people do like the SUVs, so it's really up to you and what your traveler wants. And some of them, they know exactly which rental car company that they want. You want to make sure that their pickup is going to be at the terminal or shuttle to their location. You don't want them having to take a taxi to the car rental place unless that's the only option. Okay. So for this one, I would say for $3 more a day, I think a compact SUV is nice. This is a new agency for me. What is this? Zesgo. So what I would do, honestly, is I would just get on Google and I would see who this is. I would look at their ratings for Zesgo and I would see what their rules are for credit or debit cards if I needed to, if my traveler doesn't have a credit card. And you want to make sure they know the difference between debit and credit, okay? Another thing, prepaid credit cards. A lot of times, prepaid credit cards, you cannot rent a car with those. So make sure that they know um, what they have and that you know. So I'm going to go ahead and select this car here. I like to look for unlimited mileage as well. You don't want to have to pay any extra costs for mileage. So now we're going to review and book. When we review and book here, we are going to look through the cost. It's going to already ask you for all the travelers' information, but we are going to look through the cost here. So we have a round trip flight. I can click here to kind of open it up. I can see my departure. I can see my layovers. I can see all the information. We have the Palazzo Lakeside Hotel that we chose. I can see it's the royal room, check-in, check-out, one room for 6 nights. The compact SUV, if I want to expand that, I can see you're going to have it full to full with gas. It doesn't say the unlimited miles here, but we could write down those notes. So here is our pricing. Our starting price is $4,000. We have a $2,000 package savings. So we have $2,409.74 due today. Now, you can see here, hotel fees not included. A lot of times hotels and car rental places will have you pay any taxes and fees upon check-in. It's really important that your traveler knows this. You do not want them to get there, have them check in, and then say, okay, we have $200 due, and they are thinking that they've already paid everything, okay? Earnings for this booking, again, we chose basic airline, basic car, basic hotel. Our commissions are going to be 6%, so it's going to be $144 on this trip. So here are your commissions amounts, okay? And here is all the information for your check-in. If you want to put in their frequent flyer numbers, if they have a TSA pre-check, all of that can be put in for every single traveler. You want to make sure their name and their date of birth and their gender matches exactly what's on their ID. If you want to get a picture of their ID, if you want to put this information in, take a screenshot, have them verify it, make sure it's 100% accurate. Hotels always have the special accessibility and request. These aren't always 100% guaranteed, but you can put in special requests. Another thing you can do here is you could say, traveling for the 5-year-old's birthday, can you put, anything that you have available? Maybe some balloons, maybe a birthday card. You could put that in here. You could call their concierge. Maybe you could give them, a great thing to do for Disney, get them some sunglasses, put some sunscreen in the room. You want to make sure that you can, give them those little special trinkets. Driver, they're going to want to know the driver's name, anybody that'll be driving. Another thing that's really important with rental cars, they'll have you put in the flight information. You want to make sure for rental cars, if there's a delay, you want to be watching the day of their flight. If there's a delay, you want to call the car rental company and let them know. Car rental companies charge late fees, and they're pretty hefty late fees upon arrival time. Typically, they get your flight information, so they're watching and know of the delays, but I always call and tell of delays. You don't, again, want any of those surprise fees. And then, of course, how are you making the payment? So this is where you would make the actual payment and put in all that information. You are going to get a confirmation email to your email that you've registered with of their entire itinerary, okay? Any of the flight information as far as cancellations, again, copy and paste this. Copy and paste their links so that they know exactly what they're getting here. All right, scrolling back up, I would copy and paste this information as well, and I would put it into whatever you want to use to build a quote, whether it's Canva, whether it's an email, whether it's a Word document, anything that you want to utilize here. Any questions so far? I apologize. Usually in here, it'll say create quote. For some reason, this one isn't giving me the option. Oh, another thing. A lot of our vendors offer monthly payment options. This one will offer with Affirm. Affirm is a credit-based option. So if your client has Affirm, they can book using their Affirm credit card. And so then they will take care of the monthly payments, but you've taken care of that full booking. If you use vendors such as Vax or Vacation Express, I'm trying to think of the others, they have payment options that are directly through um, their supplier, and they have the Affirm also, but you also have no credit check payment options where you'd pay a down payment now and then payments up until about 60 to 90 days before travel. So if that's something that you wanted to utilize, that's an option as well. Just not through Expedia Taap. All right. So here are all of your options. And then again, once you get to do the booking, you're going to get all the confirmation numbers. So expect a confirmation number from the flights, expect a confirmation number from the hotel and the car rental. I always wait a few days. I call the hotel. I make sure they got all of the requests, make sure their room is set. That's when I would say, do you have a concierge service? Do you have little maybe family packages? Can I order, using like DoorDash? Can I get some, sunglasses or sunscreen to send to the room? I always confirm that the SUV is available. And then about a week before, I'll check on the flights. I'll make sure that they're still on time. I'll make sure that my traveler has downloaded the apps. I want to make sure they have the Southwest app. I want to make sure they know when to check in. Really important right now because it's new. I want to make sure that they have the correct photo ID to get on the flight. You must have that enhanced ID or a passport. I want to make sure that they have their kids' birth certificates just in case it's needed. Okay. Some airlines, they ask for it, some don't. And so then a day or two before the flight, I'm making sure they're checked in. I usually call, making sure the car rental's good, the hotel is good. We haven't had any disasters, nothing, no reason that anything's going to go wrong. And then again, I make sure they get on their flight, make sure there's no delays there. I make sure my traveler has